Hi, my name is Chris. Thank you so much for tuning back into my channel. I greatly appreciate it as always. I'm very excited today. I'm going to be launching a new series on my channel called the X Factor Chat. The X Factor Chat is going to be about interviewing those individuals who are groundbreakers, leaders, successful individuals, innovators, thinking out of the box, just people who push the limits, those who have life stories that are just very unique, those who have overcome challenges, whether that's in life or in business, and then also seek out those companies out there that have similar characteristics. I really hope this series will help educate and empower, inspire those who are looking for that information. And it's just, there might be just one little nugget out of each episode that someone can grab hold of and maybe make a small difference, in his or her life. That would be my goal, to give back in a small way. Sometimes these type of videos may not do well, so to speak, out there with views, and that's okay. My goal is just to seek knowledge, seek this information, because there are so many people, companies out there that I think their stories need to be heard. How did they get to where they're at? How did they start? What challenges did they have to overcome? What challenges are they still overcoming? Whether that's personal or business. I think we all out there, we all need coaches, we all need mentors of some kind, and seeing and hearing from others. Generally, the stories behind the scenes are sometimes not what they appear, and hearing those stories of success, triumph, and overcoming can be very powerful. So there's also a saying out there that just is, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Very fortunate, humbled that KC HiLiTES is going to be the first inaugural episode of the X Factor Chat. Alan Wang, CEO and managing partner of KC HiLiTES, allowed me graciously to sit down with he and his management leadership team, Taylor and Nick, who were in Flagstaff, Arizona, and we sat down briefly. Now, I will also say and preface, some will say maybe I shouldn't even mention this, what I'm going to mention, but you know what? My channel is transparent. I'm learning, I'm having fun, and just excited to continue along this journey. So I had some difficulties with my couple cameras. They kind of shut down on me. I caught a little bit. The video quality was, suspect at best, but we did capture enough. And I still am going to share that with you because I believe it is of value, and hopefully you will think so as well. So KC HiLiTES, they're an iconic brand in the off-road and adventure lifestyle space. So very excited. This company, I've dealt with them for probably about 8 years, ever since I purchased my first light from them, and I cannot say enough great things about them. I'm not sponsored in any form or fashion, but the customer service is always mind-blowing, and I've just always found the leadership of the company to be unique and different, and it certainly has attracted me to them ever since. But again, enough of that. Let's dive in to the inaugural episode of the X Factor Chat.
Which we've talked about at KC. It's like kind of this intersection of people, whether it's ourselves or employees or just people. And then there's also business, because this is a business. Mm-hmm. The intersection where people meets business, it gets hairy, because, a lot of times business doesn't know anything other than making money. Whereas people have emotions, and, we're built on stories, and we want to achieve things, and it's an emotional thing, Yeah. And sometimes those are in conflict.
It's funny, I think, like, talking about your intersection, I think that's also what separates success from lack of success at some point too. It's like, if you can, that's where the work happens, right? If you're in the intersection of people and work and business and people, and that to me is really where the hard work is. Mm-hmm. But also, if you can be successful in that moment, that's where the growth happens. That's where businesses thrive and succeed. And that's like when we hear stories in the industry, it's often around that. It's not like, sometimes it's, there's a cool product. Yeah. But it's like, did you see how they merged X, Y, and Z? It's like, it's more about those types of things for me. That's why I like this topic, is
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I always like talking and reflecting about it, honestly.
Excited today. I'm here at KC headquarters in Flagstaff. And first and foremost, just super humble and very fortunate that Alan, Taylor, and Nick are providing a little bit of time. It's a super busy week for them and a busy weekend, kind of kicking off here Expo West. But this is the first episode of the X Factor chat on my YouTube channel. My goal is to just simply educate, empower, inspire, and just learn from the business community and just some great individuals who've been there, kind of done that. So I'm looking forward to it. Alan Wang is the CEO and managing partner of KC HiLiTES, an iconic brand here in the off-road and adventure lifestyle community. So Alan, thank you so much for taking the time. Taylor and Nick, I'm going to let Alan kind of take over here because I want to soak in some of these nuggets we're going to discuss. But Alan, if you could just briefly talk about KC, the company, and then obviously introduce your team members here, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm Alan. Chris, thanks for having us. I remember last year at Overland Expo, one of the things I told Taylor and Nick today at the meeting was, you're just such a nice guy, and your energy about you, like you're always doing great things, and your adventure. And when you reached out for this, I was like, it's a quite daunting task to launch a podcast. But when you told me about what you're trying to do, which is create stories and help people build on those stories, to be a better version of themselves, or to learn, from whether it's business or just life. I thought we could kind of learn from reflecting on that. So it was a great opportunity for us. So I definitely wanted to be checked by my team. So
that's where we come in.
Taylor, our director of brand marketing, and Nick, our warranty specialist on the customer experience team. We were just talking about how it's 3 generations, along with 3 different types of contributors in the company. I thought would be a very interesting way to look at some of these things that we try to practice, the things that we fail forward in, and then the things that we learn and then grow from. So
That's
here
awesome.
we are.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm just super excited. I have a passion for, the outdoors and this type of community, but also I just, you can never stop growing. And each of us, no matter where we're at, whether it's someone got kicked in the teeth here recently in life, or starting out, maybe someone in the middle, and they're kind of happy where they're at, kind of status quo perhaps, but they're looking to maybe just get a little bit of an edge or kind of break out of that norm. Or maybe it's just someone who's like at a super high performing level currently. I think each and every one of us, no matter where we're at, can constantly sharpen the sword and just learn from each other. But again, so appreciate it. But one of the things I just want to kind of maybe kick things off or talk about first is some of the values here at KC. And one of those is defy limits and adventure further. And I just love both of them, but I know I have that adventure further in bold on my Jeep. But to me, it means a lot of different things. But I'm sure to you, it also means a lot of different things that I'm unaware of. But if we could start there, because I know you kind of take those values and apply them into like a practical operating modality, whether that's your business through employees or maybe just, again, in your individual daily lives. But
Yeah.
I think for me it's interesting, right? Like to your point, each one of us are going to interpret those words in a different way, and then it's going to come out the way that we use those, our actions as a result of that, is going to be different from Nick to me to Alan to whatever, right? And one of the things that I think about is, it's easy to say adventure further, right? The first thing that comes to our brain is like, go on a bigger trail, go on a longer bike ride, or go on whatever, right? But then I think about, how do we actually use that in the business sense, like at work? What that has taught me here is don't be afraid. Ultimately, it comes back to that, right? And so when on the marketing side, when we're planning out new campaigns, whether it's a Black Friday thing or a gift with purchasing or whatever, it's like, So what? That's from him and Andy. Like, that's often the mentality is like, try it. Yes, who cares if no one's ever tried that before? Who cares if you don't know how it's going to go? Try it. If you guys are excited about it and you're happy about it, go for it. Do it.
Nice.
It's like, whoa, okay. I've never been in a job like that before where it's like, like stepping into untreaded water is like kind of, it doesn't work that well. So to me, that's one of the biggest things that I think about when I hear those words in succession is the ability and the freedom to try things that are a little bit different and push a little bit harder than what we would normally do and think outside of the box with anything that we're working on. Obviously, that goes out to the public for us.
Yeah, I love that. Just keep pushing the boundary and try new things. That's great.
Yeah.
Nick, what does that mean to you, Adventure Further?
I think like he was saying there, like as far as pushing that boundary and just like just wondering like what other ways you can like be able to push that kind of thing forward, definitely comes from my side of it, and I resonate with that a lot because as you saw with our emails back and forth when I was helping you out with your warranty, like at the end of it, I asked you if you were willing to fill out like a survey for it and everything, and like normally before when we were handling tickets and everything, like we wouldn't ask for that kind of thing. We would just solve it out, and it automatically sends it out to the customer and like just leaves it in their hands. Whereas like mine was just like, well, why can't we ask? And then it went from why can't we ask about like them filling out a survey to asking like if they could leave a comment on it kind of thing. Like we want to hear your feedback. We want to know like how you felt about it. So
Sure.
that definitely resonates.
And Nick, I truly do appreciate your customer service. And before I even really knew anyone at KC or even like an acquaintance, I had purchased the product, and I was blown away just by I would say the culture, and I think I had a small little maybe warranty thing, but just the what transpired for what I perceive as such a little item, I was totally blown away. And I kind of joked over the years, I was like, one day I gotta get involved with this company somehow, because it's that I'd say contagious, or I'm passionate about serving. But enough about me. But no, thank you, Nick, for what you've done for me, and it's really impressive when that level of customer service takes place. So thank you, Alan.
No, I think they summed it up pretty good. To Taylor's point about words mean different things to different people, but I think there's a common thread. Like the adventure further is to go places you haven't been, and if we kind of think about that psychologically, it's also about in conflict with a person or in a situation. It's like, or you're in a life or death situation. I mean, those are all things where you're going to be tested, right? And so there's no growth if you're not put into those situations. So the question then is, well, when are humans successful in those situations of conflict? Yeah. And I think the Defy limits is you must do something you have never done before in order for something new to occur. I mean, that's a saying that I've heard over and over again, Yeah. So, Defy Limits Adventure Further came out of a leadership strategy meeting that we had, hired a facilitator, and they were called Saga Leadership, and they were all about looking at autopsies of businesses that had failed and were deceased, and what helped, what worked, what didn't, but ultimately what killed them. And I still remember a story about, they talked about the samurai back in the day, and how, the samurai or the Vikings, there were always stories about missions and things that were going on, but there was always an evil spirit that compromised a samurai's mission, And bottom line is, humans were at the root of that, but it was the stories that were floating around that were the spirits. But someone probably had an ego about something in a situation, and so those stories were allowed to build. They were allowed to be built, by people's actions, which then were assumed by other people to mean something, right? So my point is that we crafted this out of that leadership meeting with Saga Leadership, because we kind of looked at the themes of what we stood for and what we were about and what we wanted to accomplish, and KC's history and what our predecessors had done and what made them successful. Well, what is that? What was at the center of that? And for Pete, even in KC HiLiTES, the name, the reason why the small I's are dotted, as we found out just a couple years ago, was to your point about you loving to serve, was Pete always saw him and his wife, Carol, as servant leaders of the business. And the small case I's in the name always represented them. And so when we took all that in consideration, it came down to whether we're successful or not, it boils down to, are we willing to be uncomfortable? Are we willing to be put in a situation where we're afraid of something or triggered by something or need to be tested and have to go beyond what we're capable of physically or mentally? Well, what's a precursor to be able to do that, you know? So that's kind of where the genesis of Defy Limits, Venture Further, and to all their points of how people interpret it, I mean, the words are very universal. Yeah. I mean, defying limits and adventure further, I mean a lot of different things at the very surface, superficial level, but I mean, we can make it mean very deep things too, you know? So, and it's really serves as not only a value, but it's like a battle cry is how Saga leadership asked us to look at it, was when you're being tested and you're in your worst moment or your most moment of need, it's like, what will make you make the ultimate sacrifice to not be afraid to do something that you didn't do before, you know, to get to the new result. And many cultures before us, thousands and thousands of years ago, they all have a battle cry. You know, for the Vikings, whether if it's the stories and the myths they told, or they had certain taglines, you know, don't quote me on this, but I'm not a very good person, but it's like Valhalla or whatever they use. Or even in Mandalorian, this is the way. Like, in culture, humans have always relied on myth and stories to drive, like, initiatives forward. Everything starts as a myth. So this is more of a battle cry for us. So both personally, I am invested in it and at the business, you know, and yeah, it's been a great symbol of words to help us through a lot of different things. So,
you know, I think before we created this battle cry, right? Like, he's kind of talking about the genesis of the word itself, right? There were some precursors that led up to that I think Alan and his brother had implemented prior to even sitting down and like having that rally, the rally cry, which I think actually led to us being successful in being able to execute it, right? Like, the common things underneath that were trust, communication, and respect. I remember one of the first things that when I started this company, it was printed on a sleeve of one of our shirts, the Yoda shirt, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's fascinating. I knew here, I didn't know much, and I was like, what the hell does that mean, right? So I'm just thinking about it. But now, fast forward however many years later, as we've had the battle cry and all these things are in place, it's like that underlying notion of trust, communication, respect has to be there in order for us to actually be able to do any of the things that Alan was talking about. If we hadn't had that, I don't think this would have been successful or it would have meant much to people before that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and kind of to Taylor is bringing up this idea that words and what building blocks are they in society. And one of the things that I believe is, and this is a lot of people who are experts in looking at, you know, the evolution of human beings or, you know, just culture in anthropology. Like, human society is built on language. It's one of the pillars of culture. The shared language is necessary to have culture, and so, like, these are all words that are building culture.
I'd almost, you know, it's funny because I've heard you say it before. I've never talked to you about it. I'd almost argue that a little bit, right? I don't think it's the language as much as it is communication at a core level, right? I know language, you're referring to multiple things go into that, but one of the things that I think about, like when you go to a Chinese restaurant for lunch today, I have no idea what they're saying. I would assume it's in Mandarin. I don't know. I really don't know. But I can pick up on the communication that's between them, and then I can see how I can communicate back just by looking at reactions and, you know. Sure. And so it's almost like the communication and language is one of the ways that we communicate, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and the words are just like symbols, right? I mean, we do need the symbols to help etch some of this language by which we communicate in stone, because at the end of the day, we also, I mean, humans have sight, I mean, you know. Yeah. So they're all building blocks is the point, is these are all building blocks, so. And, you know, a lot of these building blocks, I mean, they can be in conflict. They sometimes can have double standards. But that's life. It's like you're always navigating that, which is the very interesting and hard thing sometimes, about humans, culture, symbols, rituals. It's interesting, and we see it now in society and geopolitical, things that are going on. So,
No, that is fascinating. And so again, no matter where someone may be at in their current journey of life, how do you, either individuals or as a company, whether it's say motivate or remind, or how do you continually instill the defy limits, the adventure further on that daily, weekly, monthly basis? And for someone out there, depending where they're at, even if they're maybe a little hesitant to, again, adventure further, defy limits, do something they haven't done before, is there something, just a little words of advice that maybe you could give them, again, whether it's individuals or business? I'd be curious to know kind of what your thoughts are on that.
I mean, I have a simple one. It's like, just lead by example. No one's ever gonna, at least in my experience, I've never learned from somebody telling me to do something that they wouldn't be willing to do themselves, or I haven't watched them do.
Yeah.
So to me, it just comes back to that I would never ask anybody to do something that I wouldn't, whether it's a leap of faith or something that's actually pushing their boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
It's to me, that's never been how I've learned. So I have to make sure to display that, right?
Sure.
Me?
It's a great way to learn it. I mean, I don't think there's anything that I do like during my daily life that he wouldn't do or that my manager wouldn't do, because I mean, they've been in that position before, like where they have to be able to do those things, and without any questions asked, I would do it for them. Like, I mean, sure, I can ask questions and everything, like if it leads to the results, but I think that's the biggest part of it, is like he said. I mean, and I think it is all very like results driven as far as everything there, because like whether you look at it like from your day to day or like hiking or whatever else, like biking, like it all just comes down to like the end results that like keep me doing it, honestly. Like just seeing like how happy the customer is at the end, seeing like the views at the top of the mountain, like just seeing that I was able to make it that far without like giving up.
Yep.
That makes the difference.
Awesome. Yeah.
I like that. It's almost like you're saying, like, that was the steps that you took to get to the top of the mountain.
Yep.
And then the results are like what solidified it almost.
Yep,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
cool. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's ideal, where either you see someone willing to do the things that are asked of you, or the thing that you want to do, maybe you surround yourself around people who are doing it. So whatever reasons you're holding on to of why you are fearing something or not wanting to do it, like it helps, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I think like an example of that, right, is the lead by example type thing, where I'm a conflict avoidant person by nature. I don't want to get into a conflict with somebody. I want to avoid, like, it's just like, I don't want to deal with that phone call, right? That's typically how I am. He's not like that. I don't know if that's by nature or if that's a learned behavior. I don't know. Right? It's like, so if there's ever been, it's like going back to that intersection of people and work, right? It's like people are always the hardest part of the job, right? Managing relationships, whether it's coworkers or ambassadors or whatever it may be, that's always the hardest part for me. Is like the work is the easy part.
It's having those tough conversations
All
with
day.
yourself or with your coworkers or whoever you're presented with, like for those tough conversations. Like that's where the work is made.
It's hard.
Like,
and so to me, that's uncomfortable. That's like
it is, but like that uncomfortability that you're in right there, like that leads to so much more relief at the end.
Right.
Like because like you realize that you worked on yourself and you worked on it with another person. So like you'd be able to build that connection.
Yeah.
It helps out a lot.
It does. And so to like see you or Alan or whoever it is have those conversations, just like, oh man, I'm not really stoked on how this went. Like I'm gonna go talk to him right now. I'm like, whoa, we can do that? Like, okay. Like it inspires me to go do that myself. And so that's almost like we all instill it in one another, the ability to defy our own limits,
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, but I mean, we fail at that too,
every day. I do.
Whether if it's like how we had the conversation or whatever it is. So, but it's something that you just have to keep moving forward. You have to make a new decision that may not be the best one for a person, but I mean, you just have to go with your gut and try to keep showing up as that best version,
Right.
based on the fundamentals or on the values. My answer to your question, I kind of interpreted it as like, how would someone live kind of, or have the ability, or make it easier, or get started on the adventure further part,
Right.
which is like, if you're trying to, like I've heard you talk about it, I've heard Brad at Trail Recon talk about it, because people ask them, it's like, I'm new at vehicular camping or off-roading, like how do I get started? And my answer to that is kind of from the book of Atomic Habits. It's like, you try to make it easier, and some that could mean attending Overland Expo, or joining a local meetup group, going online and kind of being on Reddit and kind of researching information, kind of exposing yourself to information or people with information to help you build that knowledge. My answer would be to make it easy. So Atomic Habit, it's like any habit. Well, first of all, any habit takes X amount of time to build. And you want to take the path of least resistance, the least friction, to get into the habit. So like rucking, right? If you already walk your dog, then just wear a 10-pound vest when you walk the dog. You're not creating a new opportunity that takes time. You're just tacking on, and you're, overcoming that. I know that's different than, conquering heights or something, but
Right.
the point is, like, you just try to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
That's good. That makes sense. Yeah, I never thought about that. I guess just how you take that first step, and what it's different for everybody, but just make it easy.
Make it easy. And then the other thing is just maybe having an understanding that the reason why we're not able to do something might be because that's how our memory has been programmed. And that's just by natural means of like teaching by parents, natural experiences that have happened to us, that naturally this mechanical brain is just protecting you. Yeah. But I think what we're realizing is the brain, I mean, it's evolved over thousands and thousands of years, but parts of it are outdated. And so there's no code like in the Matrix to go and re-download something and then
Sure.
re-believe something about heights. So, but you still have to like reprogram the brain, because the fact is there are people who aren't afraid of heights. So what's the difference between someone who's afraid of heights and someone that's not? It's some sort of code like that we've received about that, right? So the question is, how do you rewrite that code? But it all comes back to like, making it easy, understanding it, and then making it easy.
It's funny because you're talking about rewriting code, and I love that you said the first step, right? We have a weekly meeting where we talk about all these things, right? And all hands. And I'll never forget one of the ones that Todd, one of our team members, was talking about, was he just wanted to go do more physical activity. He wanted to like get back to a place where he could go on walking, go to the gym, he can go do all this stuff, right? And taking the first step towards transformation for him was literally just getting home and putting his running shoes on. That was it.
Sure.
He's like, I don't have to like convince myself to go on a walk. I don't have to convince myself to go to the gym. I just put the shoes on. And then a week later, he's like, yeah, so I'm walking for a half hour after work now. It's like, oh, dang, that worked pretty good. So it's like that first step is all that it takes in order to create that long-term transformation.
Just start.
Rewrite the code. That's it.
Yeah, it's easier for some people to say like, just get started, but I think that really
how,
means,
what, yeah, when.
Yeah, like how can you make it convenient to do that? And then second part is kind of what you guys alluded to, was how do you surround yourself with people who are already like that, who are already doing something like that to help motivate you or hold you accountable, that helps too, but yeah.
Convenience. That's such a good one. It's so funny because I would have never thought of the convenience thing as like a big player in this, but geez, it makes sense.
It does. It's hard sometimes. I mean, it's easy to do and it's easy not to do. It's just, that's the hard, everything in life is probably a little degree of that to some, it's easy to do, it's easy not to do, but it's just those little things compounded over time. And I think this might be the next time. Are we still good on time? We good here?
Oh, yeah.
I want to respect your time, so I appreciate it. But I think that maybe it leads into kind of like the next topic is, and I'm really fascinated to kind of learn more about this, but the long arc of transformation and how maybe little things over time compound And maybe you can expand on that, Alan, or you mentioned that we were all talking on the phone, but
Yeah.
that was really intriguing to me.
Juicy.
Yeah. I mean, I think we kind of started talking about it, and I would caveat this with the long arc of transformation, or whatever a good word for going backwards is, like the opposite of evolution and regression. But some of the things that we had talked about as topics that kind of got us into some of these discussions was, at KC, like many companies, we are in the middle, the intersection of people, and then we're at of people, capitalism, and I think kind of culture, mindset, or leadership, right? And it's always not in balance. And some days you need more, working on the people, as far as like the people working on themselves, or you're waiting for them to do the work, not literally like finishing a job, but like doing the mental work or the emotional work, and then sometimes it requires leadership and culture, and then other times it's capitalism, where, what we talked about really is like the business itself actually has a social security number, but it doesn't have emotion, it doesn't have a brain. It gets it from the people and the leadership and the culture, but it itself has a federal ID number, but it has no emotion. So all it really knows and all it really shows is whether you made money, lost money, or where the money's going, or what's happening. So we're always at this intersection of all those things, and balancing or giving more in some aspects or training in other aspects. So that's the building block. And I think another building block on top of that is why we do so much of the cultural, whether if it's like building language and rituals, is that, business is very personal, and personal is very business. Sometimes you can't separate the two. You could have a bad day at home, but whether you like it or not, you're bringing it to work. Just people don't know about it, and then vice versa. You could have a horrible day at work, and you're going to bring that home, and people don't know that. Sometimes we don't even know it, and we show up in ways in both environments, sometimes to our detriment. On the reverse side, we could have a great day at work and then go home and show up really, really beautifully, So personal development is business development and vice versa. That's another building block, right? But all this is building to the fact that, and I think I talked to Jillian and Rebecca about this, where the saying goes, life is short, live it long. You could probably reverse that too, but the long arc of transformation, because change takes a lot of time. Some things might be short, but most change takes a long time, and also takes continuous work to remain in that new change state, and so no matter how much you've changed, it always requires the same small habits to reinforce the change or create new change. So back to culture, it's the words that we use, the tone that we use, the rituals that we use, all those things. Those are small things that add up to big, like exponential gains, which comes back to like atomic habits. But yeah, that's kind of at the center of that is, life is short, live it long. But sometimes I feel like life seems actually longer than, so it's like move faster, But yeah, I think that's it's having a good philosophy, because life really takes so many turns, and there's so many things you can't control. So take your time in processing what just happened before you say something or do something. Be intentional. But always small, consistent actions, I think, is a huge benefit in building momentum. So,
what do you think? No, that's great. And I think what's hard is because we all hit those roadblocks, those brick walls. But like you said, how do you keep going? Maybe it's team, it's having values, maybe just having a super strong why behind why are you doing what you're doing. And sometimes that strong why, if you don't have a strong why, then you will lose. And when you hit that brick wall, you're going to bounce off of it versus go through it.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you found individually or as a company? What are some of those tricks, if you will, to when you hit that wall? How do you just keep moving forward?
You already summarized it. I think a lot of us think that one why will last us forever, but for us in 2015, it was survival. And a lot of people in life are put into that. I mean, some people own businesses that they might have bought, or like business goes down, or in personal life, you face challenges in health and stuff. But if you overcome something, that why is done. Yeah. And then typically the arc, as far as looking at a business, there's like this arc where you're fighting because your why is to survive or to reach this goal, right? But once you get to that goal, that you can't have that as your why anymore. Yeah. There could be an underlying philosophical why, but usually I think change and having a strong why, but knowing that you have to shift the why is pretty important. So
I think the why's a good one. For me, it's relying on a support network. When I'm hitting a wall, it's really nice to be able to, and whatever that support network looks like, whether it's colleagues within your company, whether it's people outside of it, whether it's a men's group at night or whatever, it's like those to me are the most important parts. Like when I'm hitting a wall and I can call Dustin at Rugged Radios or Tara at Front Runner or whoever it may be, like, dude, I need to talk to you about this. I need your opinions. I need your help with this. My goodness, that helps me so much. The why is obviously a huge one. There's just some times where it's like, I have to have a different perspective to look at this. Yeah. I'm so wrapped up in how I'm viewing things that I might not be seeing it the way that it actually could have been. There's multiple truths,
That's great. Well, that's what I'm hearing is perspective. Sometimes you need to be heard.
Yeah.
Sometimes that could be they agree with you and validates. Sometimes it could be disagreeing with you and gives you perspective. That's pretty important for humans. So.
That's great. Nick?
Mine's definitely the why when it comes to it. It's just
awesome.
Just the reason I show up every single day and just put in my 100% effort is just seeing how happy the person is by the end of it all, and that makes me happy. So it just folds and folds every single time. That's the biggest part of customer service as far as the reason why I like it, and with it having such a high turnover rate and everything as far as customer service positions, and most of them being revolving doors, I feel like showing up and throwing in that 100% just shows that you can just stand apart from that stat. So just being able to make that difference and everything, because I don't know about you guys, but I've had things break on me, and I would never reach out for a warranty because I'm so scared that it's just a terrible experience. So I'm just no, I'd rather not do that. I'll just go buy another one or go buy a different brand. But I feel like a lot of our customers, they reach out almost immediately because they just know that we can handle it and get them taken care of. So that's definitely my why my why behind why I show up and give my 100% every single day in my job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can attest. You do a great job. So thanks again, and I'm sure as well you're going to hit that one phone call that I'd say the majority of people are great, but there might be just
that's
one or occasional that makes you always want to kind of throw in the towel, maybe.
Yeah, and that's one of those tough conversations.
You have those values, that support group. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And some of what you and I had talked about, which I was facing, I think, a month or two ago, and I face honestly probably every week, is in this arc though, even after having why and having the support, it's this middle work. So when you're in the middle and you're doing the work, and you look back and it's too far to go reverse. You can't go back, right? But then yet the goal is still so far.
Yeah.
And it's these small, consistent actions and doing, and to push through the middle, because the middle is the hardest, because you can't see behind or see the future, or the goal. So you have to just buckle down and trust that, whether it's the culture or the why or why you're doing it, get the support you need, and then you just have to show up, and you have to push.
Yeah.
push through the middle, because the middle is the one that the part that is the hardest. It is the part that you can't see anything else before or after you, and it's hard, to know whether or not it's right anymore.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I know you're asking questions, but I'm gonna ask questions too.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, I want to hear an example from you, because you're dealing with people day in, day out, right, on the phone lines, of like a moment that you felt like you were in the middle, right, or you were hitting that wall. Like, I know I can think of one for myself while you have time to think, like the roof rack that we're launching right now, right? For me, that's like awesome. I'm stoked about it. It's very exciting, right? But also, like, I look outside the windows behind me and I see Front Runner right there. They're one of our closest brand partners. Boy, how do you reconcile that, right? We're launching our own competitor product too, very well known and trusted, and we have a lot of close friendships there. And so I think about that, and one of those moments for me that I found myself like caught in the middle, like hitting that wall, is like, oh my God, I just got to call Tara and talk to her. Mm-hmm. Like, tell her what's happening, tell her what's going on at this show, what we're doing, what the product's going to look like, all that stuff, and just having that open line of communication, that just being transparent is the only thing that got me through that. But like, sometimes I feel like, oh man, I don't know like necessarily how to handle it. So that's why I kind of want to hear from you of a moment that you felt like you were in that same.
Let me ask real quick, sorry. So when you did that though, I'm assuming I don't want to put words in your mouth, you probably felt relieved and you probably just felt.
Oh, like I could live again. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's being human and just being real, right? I mean, you just got to be real, be human, be yourself.
For sure.
And just speak truth.
Well, and so leading up to that conversation, I just put myself in her shoes. What would I want? Right. Like if they were coming out with a new off-road light that's, an actual direct competitor of us, what would I want? If we're about to go be involved with them and donate product and, set up a booth and do all this stuff, it's like, well, I don't want her to call me. It's like, hey, this is what's going on. If you guys want to be involved, great. If you don't, no worries, no hard feelings. Like, we're not going to, and that's what it was. And then like, it actually led to that feeling of relief. Like, oh my gosh, like, okay, you don't hate us. This is great. Number one. And number two, we can move on and like still do amazing, fun things together.
And it probably even strengthens the relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like to answer your question, the in the middle section right there is, say a customer reaches out with a discontinued item, you can't really warranty it with the brand new item. So like, you got to be able to find that in between where it's fair to us and fair to them. Mm-hmm. And the beginning being that they already reached out trusting that KC, some brand that's been around for such a long time, has great reviews, everything. Like, has everything great. And then the end being like the resolution for that customer. And just being in the middle is telling them like, sorry, like there's not a lot we can do about it because we can't repair it for you. Like, we can't replace it directly, but what we can do is we can like help you out with a discount. And it's the middle is that sending that message to them and like wondering like how they're going to react, because you're not looking at them face to face. Like, it's always over email or over phone calls. So like, you don't know like how they're going to react. And like, that's the very human thing, is like looking for that reaction every single time, like after you've said something. And considering you can't do that, like that's that middle point, is just like seeing, like just wondering what they're going to do and how they're going to react. And sometimes they're let down, and sometimes they're just like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. And like, when they're let down, that's the rough part, because then like you feel like you failed them, you failed like the company, and like finding out like a resolution that's fair to both you guys, like it's a little rough. But again, like being able to get through all that is just like looking at it just like, well, either way they're gonna figure something out for you. And like, I mean, if it ends in a bad review, it ends in a bad review. Like, you did your best. And it's just like being able to push forward and knowing that that's that 1% where it's like, not all of them are going to be great. Not every single instance, like every single conversation is going to be great between you and a customer, but just being able to know that like you did your best, like you gave it your all. Like,
you got to feel good about knowing you try to create the win-win. As long as you're solid and confident you did that, then I think you have to sleep well at night.
Yeah. It can be tough sometimes, but I mean, over time it'll be better.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that is a good one. I almost wanted to cry on that one. That was really good. Because that applies not only to a ticket, but we've had to like split with people we care about. Sometimes that's an ambassador or brand partner or employee, and sometimes you wonder, are you doing enough, or did you do the right thing? but in all instances, I genuinely feel like I tried my best, and I think being able to also not swim in too much of that guilt and judgment, because it's not all just one way, you know, and there will be people that give us bad reviews, but if we showed up to do our best, then like who's gonna judge that? You know?
Yeah.
And when do those people who write the bad review might see our side and say, oh, I understand. And sometimes that happens, you know, with the list I made of like things that we've had to do that might for their own, you know, perspective was not right, you know? And that's hard. That's hard to uphold the cultural values and the words that we say that we stand by, because in those moments you question, you know, are we out of integrity? You know, and how could that be? When if you follow this, you know, recipe, right, this framework, like it should be black and white, but it's not, you know, and that's hard. So I think Nick touched on something, you know, very relevant is judgment. What does that mean? How do you judge yourself? If you've tried your best genuinely, but someone else sees it a totally different way, you know, do you allow them to judge you, and do you live in that judgment or not, you know? There's no right or wrong. It's just these are the things that we face at that intersection of, you know, people, leadership, and capitalism. So, and then it just, you know, and then what Taylor brought up goes back to reinforcing a lot of things we talked about, which the 3 pillars he had mentioned about trust, respect, and communication was, you know, trust others and be trusted, respect others and be respected, and, you know, very intentional use of your words, but also receiving and making the meaning of other people's words, which all funnel up to this saying that we have, which is quality of relationships build the quality of results, right? And I think that's very true. And all we can do is show up to do our best. You know, I think there are partner industry partners we have that, you know, they do have their own lights. It's a choice of mine to make up a story about that and create the story about they shouldn't have done that and they're the enemy. Or, oh, I can understand that. They're this kind of company and lights complement what they do, right? And what I should be doing is do my own thing and do it well and be fully confident in what we're doing and never close a door. That's another story, right? I mean, different people will create a different story and live their life based on their perspective and the story that their belief that they create. The question is, you know, are you the glass half empty or the glass half full? Like, which story do you want to create for yourself, and which one serves you best? You know,
and that can be hard. It's kind of like, well, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Most people want to know you understand me, and then if I have time or think you're interesting, well, then I might want to see what you're doing. But that's what's tough. But I like what you say that again, Alan. The quality of relationships that
drives the quality of results.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
So, you know, there's just so much gray area in how people perceive words, how they perceive life, based on their own sets of experiences that were given to them, happened to them, and so it's a very many experiences that could yield a no solution, right? And that's the tough part of processing issues and conflict.
Yeah. Well, I just can't thank you enough, all of you. Again, just super humbled and fortunate to even just be here, and I appreciate it greatly.
Well, thanks for having us.
You know, if anyone is learning of KC for the first time, you know, I'll definitely leave a link below, but I highly encourage you to look at the company. It's more than just, I would say, a product. I believe it truly is a culture and a thing that is contagious for me. Like I said, before I even kind of got to know a few people and then got to know people better, I was all in before I even knew anyone. And I think that's a tribute to that Defy Limits, that Adventure Further, and the goals that you've set out over time. I think you've done a phenomenal job. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for that. It's very kind.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing it too. It's because it's like, it's funny. I know we're trying to wrap up, but it's funny. It's like we do all this inside, right?
Yeah.
But so you just never know how, like, does anybody even notice it? Is it even picked up on, you know? So it's cool to hear that from a different side of the coin.
Yeah, and people could probably say, oh, he's just saying that because you're sitting. No, I mean, I'm being sincere as all I can possibly be. There is something different about your company. There is. I mean, obviously, everyone that I've interacted with, I think, are just there to help serve. And, you know, as every company, I'm sure there's always challenges and struggles and, you know, of course. But I really, again, I think I told you, Alan, maybe a year or so ago, I took some of your inspiration and took it to my place of employment for my team because I just thought it was so you could carry over it in so many ways. So it's just not about being in the outdoor industry or the adventure lifestyle. There's more to this stuff, and it's about the people.
Just working with
people. You know, the people make the company. The people will spread the message.
Yeah.
But
It's
anyway,
cool.
No, I appreciate that.
Super excited.
Thanks for doing this. I mean, all these, it helps me because, you know, talking about and reflecting on some of the things that, you know, I don't get to sit with Nick and chat about and things that Taylor asked. I mean, these are all really important small moments, you know, that really help remind you, and sometimes, like, you know, makes you feel grateful for. That's kind of the human psychology. Like these are the tools, you know. So this was really beneficial for me. So thank you.
it's kind of like that, and I know we'll wrap up. Promise. We got some fun to go out there too, right? Mm-hmm. That middle part that's really hard. It's kind of like doing the thing when no one's watching. Sometimes
For sure.
it's like you don't want to do it, and it's not fun, and you don't even know why or if it's going to pay off. But Alan, I know on your social, you're always out there just grinding it, and I'm like, that guy's an animal. But I can't tell you how many times I'm like, okay, I can do it too. Mm-hmm. You know, it's possible. So, and that's a lot of, you know, whoever people get motivation from, like I said, teammates, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is getting up early or staying after or going after work, but you go do the thing. Yeah, it's just powerful. And anyway, Alan, keep grinding away because it is motivation.
Grinding. I mean, I'm constantly in the middle.
It feels like we're always in the middle.
But I mean, yeah, for me, it's necessary because I treat it like a journal, and it's like sometimes it's hard to wake up, you know, that early and do it. But it's the only time I know I have. Otherwise, I won't do it.
It's funny because just even on the notion of working out, like I ride my little indoor spin bike, right?
Okay,
like a
yeah.
little Zwift thing. I was always a workout after work guy, because I could go on a mountain bike right after work or do whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I start watching him, and I'm like, oh, I'll try mornings. Now that's all I do. Now the thought of working out in the afternoon is like, that seems awful. It's horrible. But it's like just finding what works for you and finding what's convenient and seeing the people that are motivating you. It's like, oh, okay, let me try it their way.
Yeah.
Do it. See what works.
Yeah. I mean, that's it just comes back to small, try it. Small things, you know, not afraid to try it.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for spending time with us, and yeah, look forward to seeing more of these and learning from all the ones that you'll do to come. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, thank you all, and I appreciate it. Let's have a great weekend.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you again for watching the inaugural episode of the X Factor Chat. I hope you gained some information and some, again, little nuggets that you can take with you in your personal or professional life. Super excited where this is going to lead and the individuals and companies that I will have the privilege of interviewing in the future. So stay tuned to the X Factor Chat. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. It means a lot. We're on this journey. We're looking to go from full-time office to full-time adventure. We're going to figure it out, whether it takes 6 months, 6 years. You know, we're going to give it our best shot. And with your support, help, I know we'll get there. Until next time, live, explore, can do.